Guess what? Are you a super-ager? I'm asking this question because I have got two experts, David Kravitz and Larry Wolf, who coined the term super-aging on today's episode of Too Young to Be Old. And oh, by the way, they also wrote the book, The New Old. These are guys who are master marketeers and they're on our side. They're all about aging with grace, aging with purpose, aging with ease. Come join us. There is a lot to learn here. Hi, everybody. This is Diane Gilman, formerly known as the Queen of Jeans, but now the proud host of Too Young to Be Old. And boy, do I have the perfect guests today, David Kravitz and Larry Wolf, who have actually, I don't want to use the word commercialized, but they brought the term super-agers and super-aging to the height of awareness for the public. And they've written a book, The New Old. Couldn't be a better title for this particular podcast, which is all about not only making the best out of where you are today, but quite frankly, life extension. So I'm just going to ask questions, guys, because I've never done a two-person podcast. The New Old. Oh my God. I hate you for that title. I want that title. I deserve that title. It's great. How did you get it?
All right.
How?
Well,
Who came up with that? It's
so
genius.
well, thank you. Well, I want to make a distinction. The New World actually was written quite some time ago by me, and then we did the super aging. But I'm David Kravitz. At that time, I was in the ad business, and Larry was in the ad business. And the premise of the New Old, and it's a good question because it leads to super aging, which is the book we wrote together. The
Yeah.
premise was that the baby boomers, as a generation, were reinventing aging without even worrying about longevity. So
Huh.
the baby boomers were saying, I'm not going to be an old geezer like
Yeah.
my father or my grandfather. Even if I don't live one day longer, I'm going to not be old. Because the baby boomers, and I'm one and you're one, we're all one, we always had the spotlight on us. We were the first me generation. The advertisers all wanted us. When we were teenagers, it was rock and roll. Then we became hippies, then we became yuppies without turning a hair, a complete
I
reversal.
never became a yuppie, but go ahead.
But it was a very self-centered, in some ways, gender. But the spotlight was on the boomers because we were so numerous. So
Yeah.
the marketers all wanted to cater to. All of a sudden, we hit 60, and what? Now I'm an old fart. Now I got to be like my grandfather. No. We want the spotlight. We want to stay on the stage. And then during the 15 or so, the intervening years since the New Old. Hey, wait a minute. Not only do I not want to act like an old timer like my father, I can actually live longer. So it's like the two curves intersected, and that's when Larry and me came out with super aging. So I wrote the New Old on my own, and then Larry and me did super aging, which was the same baby boomers who were trying to reinvent aging without necessarily living longer. Suddenly we lucked into, oh my God, now all of a sudden I can actually live longer. I don't need to get old. And that was the dynamic there.
What does super aging mean? When I see very few images that I directly relate to, except for Jane Fonda, Helen Mirren, when we're talking about the celebrity world, and they're called super agers.
Great.
What does super aging actually translate to? They do look amazing. They are out and about. And honest to God, I get this all the time. I just turned 80. Admire you so much for actually going out of your house. Wow. The bar is really low. I would not call that being a super ager.
I'll throw one at you just before Larry, just before you get.
One of the things that drove us to write this book, getting older is really a segmented market. There's the super agers and what we call the default agers who have the traditional attitude. And one of the things I found after I turned 80 is the world is rampant with ageism, whether it's the marketplace,
Totally.
fashion, your area of expertise, medicine. It's just rampant with ageism. But life is great. It's incredible. incredible and it can remain incredible. So there's the opportunity not only to live longer, but to live healthier and have a fuller, richer life. All this is contingent on what we call the 7 A's of super aging, which is simple stuff that you can do for yourself. You don't need a fortune or a big gym or a medical specialist with new great technology. Most of super aging is just stuff that if you approach it correctly, you can make your life much richer and more fulfilling. So that's really how we got to it, how to get older without getting old, which is a brilliant line that David
Yeah.
came up with.
Yeah. That's why I named my podcast Too Young to Be Old,
Oh,
because I
exactly.
think
Oh,
part of it is
brilliant.
in your head tells a story. And I remember even as a very young child, looking at my grandparents, even looking at my parents who were much older parents than norm for that time in the mid 40s. I thought, I don't want to age this way. I don't want to age. This is on my going to be my attitude towards aging. I was formed really young that I would do something purposeful. I would not go out quietly. I would be heard.
And you
So,
are.
talk
And
to
you
me
are.
about those 7 points that make aging enriched and
I'll,
purposeful.
I'll kick off with the first two, and Larry will take the next five because they're all creatures of the first two. But the key point that overhangs everything is think about 65 as the Social Security first age of the traditional age of retirement, and your parents and my grandparent, that was when you became a retiree officially, and you were essentially playing defense. You didn't have enough time left to accomplish anything new.
Yeah.
If you were lucky, you could be healthy, nobody was fine, but you were basically gliding to the finish line, drawing away the golden years, not much. So the super-ager says, the heck with all that, I've got time, because if I'm 65 and I'm 95 to 100, is achievable, then I'm not going to retreat, I'm going to be active. So the first two A's are attitude and awareness. And they are almost like the umbrella, and the next 5 action steps come under them. Attitude, research proves, and everything in our book is based on third-party experts that we've cited. We are like the collectors or the curators of the information. We don't just dream this stuff up. We go out. Research studies have proved that people who are optimistic, who have a positive attitude, significantly outlive people with a negative attitude. And they've traced this down to the cellular level, literally. Because
Yeah.
a positive attitude means less stress. Less stress means less inflammation. And inflammation is the number one cause of age-related disease. So if you have a positive attitude, right away you're going to be set up for success. And we've even got stuff in our book and in our new workbook about how to teach yourself to have a positive attitude if you're not naturally optimistic. That overhangs everything. The second A is awareness, and that simply means there's so much information now flooding the market, the longevity market, whether it's diet or health or financial planning, or there's so much to know. You've got to do the work to say, I've got to keep up to date in general, not be an expert. I've got to be aware of what's available to me. And it could be diet, it could be exercise, it could be inspirational models such as yourself or other people. Look what she's doing, look what he's doing. Why can't I do it? So you have to be aware, and we've got in our book tips on what websites to visit, how to collate it all, how to
Oh,
organize.
that's good. That's your super aging workbook.
Yeah, that's the workbook. And how to go about it. And so if you have a good attitude and you are determined to keep aware, now you're set up for the next 5 components, which Larry can walk you through.
Okay, Larry, go for it.
Well, the third of the 7 A's is activity. You've got to take charge of your own life and recognize that the physical and mental are really inseparable. What you ingest, what you eat, very, very important. There's a few simple rules, simple strategies that we enumerate in our workbook. Obviously, primarily a plant-based diet, minimal meat, but all this has been covered very well by a lot of people. The other key component of activity, exercise, both physical exercise and mental exercise.
Yeah.
You have to have a plan to keep moving. Whether you work out in the gym, whether you work out at home, whether you just do 10-minute exercise snacks, you've got to keep moving and have an exercise program. And thirdly is mental exercise. You have to do stuff to maintain your cognitive acuity, and you have to keep your mind as well as your body continuously working. The fourth of the 7A's, accomplishment. You're sort of a great example, sort of a super age, a fashion designer, fashion marketer, fashion guru who in her 80s started her own podcast. You have purpose, you have goals, you have a sense of accomplishment when you leave work every day, and this is critical. And it doesn't matter whether people like you, I, and David are working or whether they're volunteering, whether they're going back to school. They need goals, they need purpose, and they need a sense of accomplishment. Next to the 7A's, attachment. I'm very lucky that I've been married to this wonderful, incredible lady for almost 60 years. And we're lucky we have great kids, we have marvelous grandkids, friends, and expanding your social network can be important. Social media, which can be a very negative thing, can also be a very positive thing.
Oh, yeah.
There's great ways to expand your social network with like-minded people who are interested in the same things, who have the same hobbies. So attachment, the fourth critical 7A. After attachment is autonomy, both physical autonomy, financial autonomy. And here, age technology is making some very interesting things available to people. Amazing positive stuff is happening with AI, with robotics. So there's all sorts of ways people age to make their home much more user-friendly.
Yeah.
Financial autonomy, very important. If you're going to live to 100, how are you going to pay for it? Where are you
Yeah.
going to get the money? That whole area is very important. Last of the 7A's, avoidance. First, ageism. It drives me just crazy. I see it everywhere. I see it in the
Yeah.
marketplace. I see it in medicine, which as older people we really need to fight. I mean, to have the doctor say, well, this guy's in his 80s, probably it's the right procedure's the right thing to do, but he's so old, so why bother? Age is a big issue. And and with the advent of AI, scammers are getting much smarter, much more sophisticated. And there's AI that can sort of imitate the voice of your grandkids. We really, as older people, have to be very aware of scammers and only trust information from reliable sources that we know well. So that's a
That is so true. This week alone, I got some notice from Verizon that they needed all my personal information on more all over again and I thought no. Then I got something from UPS. Oh, we can't deliver this package unless, and I thought, this doesn't sound right. And then I got something from FedEx, and I thought, Jesus, it's the holiday season.
Yep.
People
Yeah.
are just being bombarded. But do let me say something on a general level. I had to make a decision. I got breast cancer Christmas Eve of 2017. 2018 was all treatment. 2019 was double mastectomy. I had to ask myself after that, do I want to do this for the rest of my life? I was still on TV. Did I feel engaged? Did I feel challenged? Did I feel that heartbeat go
Yeah.
up in rate every time I went on air? Or was it all by rote? And I decided it was all by rote. I understood how precious life was from almost losing it. And
Yeah.
I thought, I
Exactly.
want to do something new and I don't want to be a one note song and I want to help women around me for my generation because we were not raised to defend ourselves or carve out our own path. Most of it was done through permission from a man. So, not to say you guys are bad because
Oh
you're
no.
men, but it
no.
was all part of ageism. I like Larry, honestly, I am so inundated with ageism. I was responsible for selling $100 million a year of jeans. When I
Wow.
went into the social media world, I thought people are going to be knocking down my door. I mean, I'm like a super salesman. Not one person. Why? I was almost 80 years old. That was in the market. They wanted a 25-year-old. They wanted someone physically perfect.
It's
Yeah.
changing.
And
It's
that,
changing slowly, but implicit in your decision was that whether you stated it consciously or formally or not, implicit was, I can do this. I have time. I have the ability to make this change, to make
it
this
was
shift.
important,
It was
I felt.
important. It was important, but you also had a positive sense that it could be done. It was not,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was possible to do. Maybe you'd succeed, maybe you wouldn't, but it was possible to do. And that goes right back to the first day of attitude. I can do this. I'm going to do this. And there are people who are inspired by your example and by other examples. And slowly but surely, if we all fight against it, the marketers who are you'd think would be on top of this are, in some categories they are. Banking is going after this age group. Everybody suddenly thinks, oh, we've got to get that older market. But a lot of people discount it without realizing, and now, so in some categories they are, but that's where we have a platform, and you do, and we have to keep fighting against it.
Yeah, and that's my platform as well. And it is, you don't have to
No,
age
no, no.
like society envisage you. You can break out of that and age in a way that is very atypical, a lot more active, a lot more thoughtful, a lot more purposeful.
The
And
example I like to give, that my favorite example, is to say to somebody, you try to maintain the schedule maintained by Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip until they were
yeah,
97. Until they were
yeah,
97. You try to keep that schedule.
yeah, exactly.
And
Or
they function. And now, okay, I'm not even talking about their wealth and their money. They had a job, they had a position. They could have sat back and just let it all, but you try to keep that pace. And she was like 97.
yeah, or Jane Goodall at
Jane
91.
Goodall at 91.
Yes,
So
amazing.
Unbelievable.
unbelievable.
And
Unbelievable.
actually made videos that said, if you were seeing this video, I'm gone, but my mission remains. And so I feel that is
Henry Kissinger
so
had
important.
Henry Kissinger had clients at 95.
Yeah.
And my
You
idol,
know,
Warren Buffett.
Oh,
Warren
yeah,
Buffett.
my idol too. I love Warren
Yeah,
Buffett.
yeah. So there's a
Brilliant.
lot of examples of people, and it's because they have that sense of purpose.
Totally.
And I think
And
it's
sense
driven by
of
purpose. They're obviously
mission.
not driven by the money. Warren Buffett doesn't need to go to the office in the morning to pay his bills.
That's right.
But but they're driven by it.
I
They're
felt
super
that
agers.
when I had designed a middle aged gene for women who no longer had the body of a 20-year-old, I was lifting a lot of women's spirits. I was
Sure.
making them feel better about aging and themselves because there is not much choice there. And so it was sort of easy to encapsulate that philosophy, lift it out of tele-retail and put it into a podcast.
Sure.
And I had never honestly gauged how entrenched ageism is in our society. Honestly, it's everywhere. I feel sometimes, honestly, like Don Quixote galloping
Yeah,
around,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
fighting with
Well, it's
windmills
because
because,
it's
wow, it's
Yes.
but
huge.
I'll tell you an area where we see it a lot, Dan. We see it a lot in the underrating of our age group as to technology. And they all have this vision of grandma on the dial-up, back in the early days of the internet,
Yeah.
who can't unopen the box and and in fact, the baby boomers, which represent the bulk of super-agers right now, were one of the most technophilic, not technophobic, generations ever. We grabbed every single piece of new technology the moment it came on. We wanted it. We're not afraid
Yeah.
of technology, and we are online. Larry and I meet marketers all the time who profess to be catering to this market. Not people that are marketing young catering to this market. And they said, well, of course, our market isn't really online. Well, no, yes, they are. They are. It's the largest
Yeah,
group on Facebook.
biggest users of social media actually are our demographic.
So
Oh,
it's
you want to know something? The minute I understood You could shop for fashion on social media and in general, through your computer. I was all in. As long as I'm interested in it, I can learn it in a flash.
And I'm going to ask you the question: why wouldn't somebody come to you and say, "We think there's a $1 zillion market for jeans for super-agers, and we want you to partner with us and create that market online"?
I don't know, but they don't. It is what I call the Coca-Cola philosophy. So Coca-Cola's marketing philosophy was, it always fascinated me, get the customer at the age of about 5 years old, and
Yeah,
they will be a customer for
sure.
life. Yeah, it's got the addictive power of sugar and cocoa, which is
Yeah,
like,
cocaine.
meth,
David,
yeah,
Diane
meth or
just
cocaine.
Yeah,
And so they have the same attitude. And it's so inverted. It's not, the attitude should be older women don't shop as much as they used to. Quite simply for one reason. I talk to older women all the time. I'm always meeting people through my podcast, and they all say the
yeah.
same thing. I can't find anything designed for me that fits my 70-year-old body.
yes,
So they
exactly.
don't
Diane,
shop,
you
they
just
try. But the converse to that is the manufacturer says, see, older women don't shop if there's no market there. So it is a Mobius, it is a
Yes,
toxic
yeah.
Mobius
Diane, you just
strip.
triggered an incredible idea. I haven't discussed this with David, but I'm so excited about it, I've got to throw it out. I would love to do the super aging fashion show and have you do it. I mean,
Whoa.
you have
I
such a
love that
critical
Let's
idea.
do it. Let's
message. I
do it.
mean,
Be-
what a
Okay.
wonderful message for all my wife's friends in their 70s and 80s. I
but
mean,
it's
to
but it's
see
but
you and hear what you're saying, it's just
but
so powerful and
exactly,
so
it's
motivating.
tremendous. And the thing is that I don't understand about the marketers, because I lived in this world. Larry and I were both ad agency people. Is that one doesn't preclude the other. Nobody's saying to them, stop making jeans for Gen Z. This is so testable. It can be scaled up later. It can be tested. It can be. We should work later. We'll talk, but we have an idea for a program that could be quite exciting here, because
Okay.
it's a
You
big.
know what? I'm
It's a big market.
totally and completely open. In the last week, I've had conversations in depth with three different women. One who is very, very, very wealthy, very good looking, probably about 76, 77. Can't find anything to wear. Was going to a big wedding in Venice, Italy, a la Jeff Bezos. Had to wear something 3 years old, God forbid, and was extremely
She
upset.
should talk to my wife, who's really into fashion big time and has been so for the past 60 years, and it's never stopped.
No, but there is
It's
for
not
that mass market.
easy.
It's not easy.
We
No.
as women are denigrated for aging on every level, and we are not rewarded. We are not embraced. We are not respected. And so I knew when I was getting into this, I had a huge, it's like climbing the seven peaks, right? I had a huge climb ahead of me, and I thought, okay, I'll take it on. I'm committing to this. So it's been very stimulating. It's been incredibly informative, but it also needs to be really formative and productive
Yes.
as well. Because we are a generation who aged out loud up to a certain point and then got very quiet. And there should be more of us speaking
Yes.
up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right.
Absolutely.
That I really feel
You're right.
that
You're absolutely right. That's what we
why
need
are
to
we so
magnify
alone?
those
Why,
voices.
yeah, why is there such a wind tunnel of silence when in fact we're 51% of the population of America? This is a graying country.
Yeah.
And yet we are a whisper, not a roar. So
Right. Right.
there, in fact, you have my philosophy,
No, you're
gentlemen.
100% bravo. You're
No,
100%
we
right.
agree. You should
That's why
meet
we're
my
going to do
wife.
a. That's
You're
why we're going to do
kindred
a podcast
spirits.
with you as our guest.
Okay.
We
Oh,
are
love it.
absolutely going to do that.
Love it. All
Good.
right. So, let me ask you guys something. When did you form your own team, the two of you, and what brought you to partner?
Well, I had started my ad career actually working for Larry in his ad agency.
There you go.
and decades and decades ago. And then I joined a different ad agency and went into. We were specialists in retailing and mass merchandising. Larry remained a specialist in branding, and we kept in touch over the years very amicably and all that. And then in about 2021, we got the idea, 22, about doing this because we saw exactly what you just said. And we said, okay, the original New Old about the boomers didn't involve longevity. It was just an attitude the boomers were going to bring, whether they lived longer or not. Now all of a sudden we're inundated by this longevity stuff. Let's synthesize the two. Let's bring the two together, and we partnered up then. So it's about 3.5 years till we did. But mind you, we stayed in touch all during that time period, and we watched what was unfolding.
I'm always looking for ways to take care of my body and have it express itself through that healthy glow. And I think I found what to me is a miracle. It is called Amra. It's got all sorts of collagen. It's got peptides. It has vitamins. It has minerals. And it's just this tiny little scoop of it. I don't even take it with juice. Honestly, I just pop it in my mouth. It tastes like butterscotch. It absorbs quickly and it makes a big difference. As you age, even if you are eating correctly, you are absorbing less vitamins. That's just what happens to your body. You need a supplement that's easy to take, almost instantaneously gives you results, more energy, better looking skin and hair, and helps you form a healthy habit and start to get all the nutrients you need. That is Amra. I love Amra.
So we
Well,
thought it
you
was a good
know,
opportunity.
if you live
Um,
long enough, you feel like you've seen it all, except of course you have not, because
No.
we're now
no,
living in an era that none of us, I certainly in my wildest dreams, and I was in a profession that demanded imagination,
right.
but it's, I think one of the biggest challenges is staying open. So many of the women around me, and it's why I try to have a very multi level in terms of age pattern of acquaintances, because I do not want to live in an age
Mhm.
ghetto where everybody is my age and everyone's like, oh, I have
Mhm.
women who are acquaintances who refuse to learn email. They're sure it's going to go away.
They
They're
still think
sure.
it's going to go away.
No,
Yeah,
I mean
because something else like a chip in your brain is going to come in.
Yeah.
But I try to stay away from people that are rigid, and it
Yes.
usually winds up being younger people that are open. So,
oh, I
gentlemen,
agree.
I've got to thank you so much
Well, thank you.
for
What a
Well,
great
thank
talk.
you for having
everything
us.
you put together today, because to me it's fascinating, and the 7 points of aging are absolutely so correct. So everybody, there's a super aging workbook by these two good fellows. There's your book. Oh,
Superagingnews.com.
good.
Super
Okay.
Aging
And
News, all one word, superagingnews.com. They'll
first
see
book,
us, they'll see the books, they'll see everything there.
yeah, you'll see The New Old, which
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
title that is just a gem. And you know what? If you are a super ager, or you would love to be, you got to be informed. And hopefully, we will inspire you. We'll give you a little push in the right direction, and we'll give you some sort of cosmic permission.
There
Like,
you
it's
go.
okay, go
Mhm.
for it.
Yep.
So, I thank you. I hope you
Thank you.
loved this particular version of Too Young to Be Old. And may I wish all of you that you will always remain too young to be old.
Right, and
Thank you,
Thank
subscribe to
you.
guys.
superagingnews.com.
Right.
Anyways,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for having us, Diane.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much for listening to Too Young to Be Old podcast. The episode may be over, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Diane Gilman, or visit our website, thedianegilman.com. If you like the show, leave us a rating or a review and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And until then, don't forget, age is just a number. Together, we'll prove that we are all too young
to be old.